WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Freedom, where we talk about freedom and shit. What the hell's today? Today's the 18th day of February 2022. Already toward the end of February. Can you believe it?
I don't.
I'm thinking everything seems to be going good. I hit the connect button, so that's good. Kudos for Koz. So we are broadcasting on all platforms seamlessly right now. So hello to everybody on Twitch and YouTube and the two Facebooks and U.S. Army WT or the WTFNationRadio.com page and every place in between. So welcome everybody. We made it to Friday. And I've got an interesting show, and it's somewhat serious. It's actually very serious, and this is just based off of some research. I like to talk a lot of shit online, and there's a lot of talk about the student loan debt crisis, and forgive student loans and cancel student loans, and I'd really talk a lot of shit, and this is kind of like a mea culpa because I was wrong in some points, and I was absolutely dead nuts on in other points, and I just want to talk about that, and I want to talk about what exactly the crisis is. So we'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. Wow. So what's going on, man? How was your week? Good?
Same old. Like I say all the time, nothing really eventful. I like it that way.
Is your life like a Groundhog Day? It's like kind of the same thing.
Not really. Things get interesting every now and then, but I try to keep it calm. Like I've separated from society, so I don't have to deal with the drama and everything like that.
A drama-free life is a very happy life. That's why I don't date. I just don't. I don't do drama. Oh, I'm not dramatic. Yeah, that's whatever. So before we begin, I just want to talk about a couple of upcoming shows that we're going to have. So we've had some UFC fighters on WTF Nation, and they've talked to us very, very graciously. We've had Tim Kennedy. He's been on a couple of times. We had Randy Couture on, and that was really great. I was really humbled when Randy decided that he would want to come on the program. I'm forgetting. Let me see what I say. Tim Kennedy, Randy Couture, Ken Shamrock. We've had Ken Shamrock on the show, but this Tuesday, the 22nd of February, in the realm of UFC fighters that have been on on WTF Nation Radio, we've been honored to have Tim Kennedy, Randy Couture, and Ken Shamrock coming up this Tuesday. Arguably one of the most popular fighters in professional mixed martial arts, the Huntington Beach bad boy. Tito Ortiz will be joining Pop Culture Warrior. So that's really cool because he was never my favorite person as a fighter, but he was definitely up there as far as talent and just he was like the Tom Brady of UFC fighters. I didn't like him just attitude wise. I just thought he was cocky. Anderson Silva was another one that I didn't necessarily like, but I can appreciate their skill in fighting. I think Tito Ortiz falls into that category. I didn't like him as a character, as a persona, but I did appreciate his fighting skill. So I thought I think that's pretty awesome that Tito's going to take some time out of his busy schedule and spend it with us. It's been years. I really haven't heard much from him. So on the 25th, which is next Friday, we're going to have Mark Liebman here. Liebman, he's been on the show before. He's an author. So Mark will be returning to the WTF Nation to talk about his latest book called Failure to Fire, and it's set to be released next Tuesday on Crossroads Press. It's his second novel in the Derek Ulmer counterterrorism series. The dude is a really good writer. I've got 3 of his books. 2 of them I sent to my dad because my dad likes to read military-themed type novels, and he hangs out with people that also like the same thing. So I don't think I'm going to see those books back. My dad enjoyed it, and he's like, "Hey, these are good," and he gave them to like friends of his, and he hasn't seen them since. So
that's a good thing to do. We could like pass the books on, man.
Yeah. I mean, what are they going to do? Sit on your shelves and get dirty, get dusty and stuff?
Unless you're like a madman like me that reads the book like 4 or 5 times over just to like comprehend it. You know?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of hardcover books. So I'll keep the hardcover books on the shelf, and if I like them enough, I'll get the softcover, and that's the one that I'll read over and over. I don't like to. Every one of I think most of all of my hardcover books, the binding is still intact. I never broke the binding.
You're the same way I am. I like this book, you know, and then I'll burn through the softcover books at that point.
Yeah.
You always buy a new one.
You can always buy in most cases you can buy one. I've got a book that I got when I think I bought it when I was in AIT. I got it from Clothing Sales, and it was Stephen Emerson was the author, and it was it had something to do about non-conventional warfare and so on and so forth. But the book got banned and it got janked from all the shelves. And it was a bunch of stories. It was a book, and it had like maybe 10 or 20 stories about certain special operations events. And apparently he told too much, and they yanked it from the books, or yanked it from the shelves. So every once in a while you get one of those. I've got that. I've got it somewhere.
Got a few spicy books chilling in my
spicy books.
I call them spicy books.
I'm going to turn you up in my ear. I can hear you. Okay. What's up, Jay Rady? Hello, everybody. Look at all the people in the everybody in the chats, man. Strapping in for some Friday Night Freedom. This is great. Glad you all are here. So it is Friday. But this might not be the start of your weekend. We might have to start having like a Thursday Night Freedom show just in case we go to that 4-day work week.
Oh yeah.
That's actually a thing. Or it's becoming a thing, and it's making news like overseas.
I heard old boss man talking about that the other night.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So are we telling the same story? I hate that shit.
No.
Okay.
No. This might be different, but I heard him oversay something last night.
He was talking about soldiers, National Guard, some nasty girl soldiers down on the border unionizing.
What the fuck is that? Meanwhile, Amazon can't unionize. Just say it.
Unions. I don't like unions, but I mean, like, if you want to gather interest and unionize, then do it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying.
I'm very iffy on
companies. Don't do it. I don't like unions. I've worked in a union. I've worked out of a union. I prefer to not be attached to a union. Simply for the reason they pretty much negotiate extra days off, increases in pay, and things like that. Because I mean, unions way back in the day, it was more about safety and child labor and stuff like that. Now it's more like it's just getting more money. Mo money.
It's that Jimmy Hoffa money.
So you get more money. I wrote a paper about this in college. If you get paid $10 to make a widget, you're bargaining to get paid $12.50 to make the same damn widget. Essentially, it's not like it's a better widget or anything else. It's not better at all. It's just costing the company more to pay you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a very simplistic view. That is not a detailed view of my opinion.
This is why I'm a very firm believer in the reason why like you can't buy like a decent work truck anymore, brand new, unless you can throw out like almost like what $30,000-$40,000. You know, like
gosh.
you can take it's insane at this point. You know, but you know. I got a family that works for the automotive industry. The shit that they pull off is just
they're not making a better truck. It's just costing more. And the company's making more. And they're like, oh, it's the chip shortage. Well, guess what, dude? That's it? That's going to jump prices in used cars 40%?
Yeah, it has gotten insane.
Just used cars, 40%. Why are used cars? If this is a problem that's affecting new cars, why are used car prices going up? Anyway, like that's beside my point.
Different story.
It's a different story for a different night. So we're talking about the 4-day work week. Workers in Belgium will soon be able to choose a 4-day work week under a series of labor market reforms. The reform package will also give workers the right to turn off work devices and ignore work-related messages after hours without fear of reprisal. Good on them.
Don't mind that. Once you're off, you're off. You're not getting paid if you're getting paid hourly and they want you to watch your email while you're not working, you know what I'm talking about.
Back when I first started at the company that I still work for right now, they had, I'm going to date myself here, we had pagers.
I remember them.
Not even text pagers. It was like pagers, like number beep 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 beep, and you look down and that's the number.
Everyone had their own little like family codes for the pager, like 911 meant call home real quick.
Yeah.
Or, like a pound sign with an exclamation point. Like I'm confused. Please call as soon as you can.
But they got rid of them because someone took the company to court or did something like if their pager went off, they were requesting 4 hours of pay, and this is when I was a union guy. They were wanting, someone would call them to ask them a question like on a different shift, and they were like, people are calling me all the time. I need to get compensated for this, so they just decided that nobody deserved a pager. But now they're handing out, laptops and shit like that. So I leave my laptop at work. I don't take it home. There's no reason for me to have it at home. So that's where it stays. Okay, so continuing the story. We have experienced 2 difficult years. With this agreement, we set a beacon for an economy that is more innovative, sustainable, and digital. The aim is to be able to make people and businesses stronger. Workers in the gig economy in Belgium will also receive stronger legal protections under the new rules, while full-time employees will be able to work flexible schedules on demand. Employees will be able to ask, so they have to petition or get on a list to be able to work a 4-day work week period, and it's for a period of 6 months. After that, they can choose to either continue the arrangement or return to a 5-day work week with no negative consequences. That's awesome. I think that's really pretty cool. We went from like a 5 days a week, 8 hours a day schedule, and then now for the longest time they had all these different work schedules. You can work 5 days a week, 540s. It was called 540 week. There was the 980 week, and then there was the 410s. I'm on the 980. The company kind of like coalesced around the 980 work schedule.
Like I would always be down with the 410 work week because it just seems better, in my opinion. But
410s, that means you get a 3-day weekend every weekend.
Oh, well, look, I've seen some companies where you can choose like different like days off when they do the 410 work week. Like you just like bid for it, kind of like I want Wednesday off, which would be nice because you work Monday, Tuesday, you get Wednesday off, and then Thursday, Friday, and then you get your weekend off. You know, that's not too terribly bad at that point.
It isn't, and every schedule you have to adapt to it. Just your body and your family and everything that you do, everything that becomes routine has to change. So that's cool. Let me see. So we had you know, your standard 5 days a week at 8 hours a day, 980, which means you get every other Friday off. And that seems to work because we still have coverage 5 days a week, because everyone's either a team A or team B. Every other week we have a Friday off, which is cool because we still have coverage the entire week, but everybody gets a 3-day weekend every other week. So that works out. Like today's my Friday off, so that's cool. And it's weird because of the overtime laws, the labor laws allow companies to decide when the employee's week begins. So when we changed from this regular work schedule to the 980, you would work 5 days. You'd work your 9 hours on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then 8 hours on Friday. And then the next week it's 9, and then you get Friday off. So what they were doing is we were getting like 4 hours of overtime. However it worked out, we were getting like 4 hours of overtime because we work 44 hours one week and 36 hours the next week. And then we get a Friday off. So we were getting 4 hours of overtime. So in order to get out of the company paying us overtime, they redefined when the start of our work week is. So they decided like Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. is when your work week begins. So that was kind of, it's legal, but it's kind of crappy.
Yeah, it seems sketchy to me because they do the same thing here to the county workers here. Is they'll put them on like a 3-week work period, and they can like get them over like crazy amounts of overtime. Like by the time you hit your overtime, if you take one sick day throughout the whole thing, you're losing your entire overtime paycheck.
Right,
and it's nuts.
Right, and our overtime is based on our overtime. We get paid OT over 40. You have to be present for 40 hours, so it just makes it pretty difficult to get it.
They do a three-week work period here in for the county workers. So I don't know about all the county workers, but I know specific county workers. I'm not gonna like dox anyone or anything like that, but they could like literally like rack up like 100+ hours, you know, throughout that 3. But yeah, and then they'll lose all their overtime. It's insanity at that point. But they can get away with it because, you know.
Yeah, our biweekly salaried people get screwed. I mean, they get highly compensated, but they get screwed if they have to work more than their 40 hours a week because they don't get paid OT. It used to be an 8-hour carve out, but now it's down to a 4-hour carve out. So you work 40 hours, but if you work 44 hours, you don't get paid for those 4 hours. But if you work 45 hours or more, you get paid OT for all of that. It kind of makes it, you got to want the overtime in order to get paid the overtime. I suppose that's what they mean. But they're highly compensated individuals. And I guess normal is whatever normal is. I mean, if you're making, let's say, $80,000 a year to be a salaried individual, but that same person who's not salaried gets paid by the hour, they're going to make more money. Like I'm a weekly salaried individual, so I get paid for every minute that I work. I get paid. I get paid for travel days. I mean, my travel days to and from Canada, those were two. One of those days was 14 hours. The other day was 12 hours, and that was all OT. So that was cool. The biweekly salaried people that I traveled with, they got paid 8 hours. So
that's ridiculous.
Take it or, I mean, you got to take the good with the bad.
Well, I like salary. Like I liked salary work. I did hourly work when I got out of the military, and well, it was subcontracting and everything like that. But you know, like the salary is just way better. You know what you're gonna get regardless. So like if they say, hey, you got to work, like all right, well, whatever. You know, You're still getting paid regardless at that point.
Yeah, I think I prefer my situation because I get paid for whatever I work. There's no question. There's no question what I'm getting paid. Anyway, the period of 6 months for these employees was chosen so that the employees could not be stuck in a situation for too long in case if it was the wrong choice. So that's really cool. Under the Belgian system, employees would be able to condense their current 5-day week into 4 days. In practice, this means maintaining a 38-hour working week with an additional day off, compensating for longer work days. Belgium, you do your thing. Belgium, do your thing. I hope it works out, and I think it's better for the employees. I was against going to the 980 just because I'm like, I prefer to work 5 days, just get paid for the work that I do 5 days a week, and everything is normal. And then everything, of course, changed because our voices really don't matter. There was a lot of pushback on it, but once everyone got used to, holy crap, I've got a 3-day weekend this weekend, I can take a trip. Or I can do nothing, or I can start a renovation project or finish a renovation project or something. That extra day off is really, it's really beneficial. Now that I'm used to it, I think I'd be pretty upset if we went back to the regular 40-hour weeks. I don't know about everybody else. Does everybody else have kind of Branko was saying that he has a flex schedule, which is cool. He picks and chooses his hours.
I see, like, Amazon's got some really weird crap going on. I've been reading in the news, but I don't have any like actual receipts right now on me, or I'd start spitting it off. But I was reading something earlier today. I was like, this makes no sense. But all right, that's Amazon. Amazon does Amazon at that point.
Okay, I'm scrolling up here on the. Let's see. Jay Rady sells his underwear online at a 25% increase. Cool, and I'll bet you make the buyer pay for all the shipping too. Oh
yeah, that's why eBay is such a great trade right there.
Oh, you sell shit for a cent and then charge them for shipping. 1 penny, 1 penny for a brand new Tesla, and then
$40,000
for
shipping.
What about that boat? What's up with that boat, man? There's a flaming boat out in the ocean somewhere with Porsches and stuff on there.
I saw it like just before we started the show. I was looking at it. It was like it's somewhere. It's a Porsches.
Porsches and Volkswagens and
Volkswagens.
Volkswagen.
Yeah. I said it. No.
So Aaron Redmond says, I work 4/10s. I get paid hourly, but I have a 40-hour guarantee. So it's the equivalent of having a salary benefit where I will always get paid a certain amount no matter what, but I can make more for overtime. That's awesome. That's good.
That seems like a deal at that point.
Yeah, we get we get I'm a salaried. I'm an off clock weekly. How do they classify it? Off clock weekly salary. So I get paid whether I go to work or not. But I have to account for my hours. I have to charge labor for all of my hours that I am getting paid for, if that makes any sense. It's not hard to do, so do we dive? Let's dive into this student loans. I've taken out student loans. Of course, I had the GI Bill for all of us veterans.
Yes.
Who have gotten out, we've had the benefit of the GI Bill. I got out in 1996, so I was the recipient of the old
Montgomery.
The Montgomery GI Bill,
yes.
Which for the first year that you're in, you pay $100 into this fund, and as a thank you from Uncle Sam, you can get $10,200 at the end of your enlistment. I mean, it's your money, it's free money, it's for education. Now the post 9/11 GI Bill is just fan-fucking-tastic, dude. I'm so jealous.
Yes, I paid into the Montgomery. They started ending it, so I was like kind of like fell in between it. So they were like, hey, you can collect your Montgomery because you paid into it, but then once you're done, you can start collecting on your. I've never did it, but I should go to college actually, or some sort of trade school or something cool. But it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a good deal for vets.
It's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. It's I don't know what the numbers are. It's like $100,000 for school.
Oh, then you add Voc Rehab on top of everything.
Voc Rehab, and you get
Yes.
BAS. I'm sorry, BAQ.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's just insane. That is absolutely insane. So right now, globally, the average debt a student has is just above $40,000 in student loan debt. The average student debt in the United States is $37,113 on average per student. Now, this is average. This doesn't count for, the people that took out, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be doctors and shit.
Or underwater basket weaving people, but I'm just...
What does Ben Shapiro say? Interpretive dance theory majors.
Yes, exactly.
So, when in repayment, some borrowers experience a slight increase in their total balance owed. I don't know for sure, but this may be due to the reconsolidation of subsidized and unsubsidized balances, or the application of some accumulated interest. So there's a magic shell game. So you graduate, you have a bill. Let's just say it's $100,000. All of a sudden, you make a payment. Let's say your student loan payment's $500. Your balance doesn't necessarily go down; it may go up, which is just, it's crazy. I don't know how it works, but someone's adjusting the shells, and it's not me. Currently, interest rates for a student loan varies between 3.7 and 6.3%. The average student borrower takes 20 years to pay off their student loan debt. I can attest to that. I graduated in 2001, and I paid off my student loans. Was this a year ago? Maybe it was 2 years ago. So it took me 18 years. It took me 18 years to pay off my student loan. My total balance, I think, was $43,000. Some professional graduates, like graduate students, can take up to 45 years to repay their student loans.
That's batshit crazy. That's mortgage. That's beyond a mortgage level.
But that to me, a graduate student in, let's say, if you've got your master's degree in literature, what are the chances that you're going to find a high enough paying job out there that will allow you to pay off your student loan?
Yeah, well.
Oh, I should have started off with the beginning. I missed the beginning. Okay, let me. I'm not going to restart, but I just want to talk because there's
the circle back.
I don't want to say those words. I'm gonna
circle back.
I'm gonna circle back. God damn it. Oh my goodness. So let's talk about this. College graduates are being crushed by unrelenting student debt. This is why I wrote this. And I'm just like, this sounds really good, and I forgot to read it. College graduates are being crushed by unrelenting student debt. Whose fault is it, and what can be done about it? Dominic Bagnato is a person who graduated from New York University. I have no idea what his major was. His total bill for his education was $115,157. After 15 years of payment, his total out-of-pocket cost, including interest, was $186,483.87. Dominic's payments were as low as $958.87 a month to as much as $1,299.91 a month. When I read this story, I thought that Dominic must be like an astrophysicist or a doctor or an engineer or an architect. I was wrong. Dominic attended New York University and graduated with a 4-year degree. Right now, Dominic works as a writer and a filmmaker. I'm not sure exactly what his major was at all. How is a new graduate from any college supposed to navigate life with that much student debt hanging over their head? How are they going to pay rent, pay for a car, get married, have children? I mean, you graduate, let's say 18, you go to school for 4 years, you're out when you're 22, 23. Let's say you take a a gap year, so you're 24 years old. That's when you start your life. That's when your formal education is over. You start life. You start looking for a husband or a wife. You want to have kids. You want to buy a house. You want to buy a car. You want to, of course, find a job. A lot of these graduates from whatever discipline it is, you get in and you start at the bottom. You don't start in the middle. You need to have experience. You got to work up to that. Let me see. So now there's a big push for canceling student debt. A big push for canceling. Go ahead.
No, I was just reading, the William Daniels posted something along the lines like, tell colleges to lower their prices and tell the professors to take a cut. I can get into that later after you're done, like, with everything, but I'll get into that then.
So there seems to be a big push right now for canceling student debt. I am a firm believer, and this is Koz speaking, that if you borrow the money, you pay it back. I don't care if it's $20 from your friend or $95,000 for a dental assistant degree. Simply forgiving student loan debt is not a solution. Sure, it's a solution if you're experiencing student debt now. But what about your kids or their kids? They'll be the same victims in the same student loan crisis all over again if the shit doesn't get fixed. A lot, and I mean a lot of folks are out there in the Twitterverse and out there on social media saying that President Biden failed. He failed to keep his campaign promise of canceling student debt. The problem with that statement is that it's incorrect. He never said that. In fact, candidate Biden campaigned on forgiving $10,000 in student debt. Later on, he kind of like restated his statement that we should forgive at least $10,000 in federal student loans. So control the cost of higher education. So here's my let's solve the student loan debt in a few easy steps. Control the cost of higher education. You want to be a doctor? You want to be an engineer of some kind? Sure, the cost for that should be higher than that of a gender studies degree. So I've got a graphic up there about a gender studies degree, and I looked at I typed this about gender studies, and it says how useless is a gender studies degree? A degree in gender studies is not precisely worthless. It is worse than useless. Having done nothing for 4 years would be far more employable than having a degree in gender studies. Having been in prison for 4 years would be more employable than a degree in gender studies.
That's sad to say it like that, but it's truth at that point.
I mean, there are uses for a gender studies degree, but to use that to
when you fluctuate the market with like 50 billion degrees, you saturate the market with like no one will hire at that point.
So that was my first point. The cost of an education right now has far outpaced the value of an education. For no real good reason. The information hasn't changed. A degree in mathematics or a degree in engineering, the information that's provided really hasn't changed very much. It's changed, but it hasn't changed that much. You want to be a teacher, go get a degree in teaching. That information hasn't changed much at all, at least not enough to warrant, to go and get a teaching certificate to pay, $100,000 for a damn degree is insane. My step number 2 idea to help with the student loan crisis is to set the interest rate during repayment to 1%. When you're in repayment, the interest on your loan is going to be 1%, as long as the borrower makes their payments on time. Keep the payments at 1%. Here's an idea to keep the cost of college education low. Don't finance your entire education. A lot of students out there, everything goes on their student loan. Their meals, their dorm, their books, everything. Tuition is tuition, and that's one bill. But there's all these other add-ins, parking, shit like that. So don't finance your whole education. Get a job. Pay for some of those fees up front, like books, room and board, food, all of your other activities. Don't finance all that stuff. Yeah, it doesn't cost you any money at the time, but damn.
You never put a Burger King meal on a credit card. You never do it. And you never do that. That's just common sense at this point, huh?
Let's see, here at the University of Texas, here in Arlington, and you can do this. Parking passes for a semester, it all depends. If you want primo parking, it's going to cost you $700-ish. If you want to walk a little bit, it might cost you $300 a semester. Pay for those things outright. Get a damn job. You're not in class all day, every day. Put a little bit of skin in the game. Don't leave it all to financial aid, because you have your subsidized and your unsubsidized loans. I mean, which means you have your federal loans and then your private loans. Okay, here we go. Community colleges are awesome. They're an awesome resource.
Yes.
They're an awesome resource to get the basics out of the way, and the tuition is exponentially less expensive. Knocking out your basics first puts you at a university for about 2 years rather than 4 years. Essentially having your student loan debt, dividing it by 2. Go to a community college for 2 years and pay that crap out of pocket. Work part-time or whatever, and pay for that just with cash. Don't take out any loans for that, because it's super, super cheap. It's like $70 an hour.
The most community colleges are super duper cheap.
It's like $70 a credit hour, $75, as opposed to a university, which you're looking at $250, $300 a credit hour. And for a bachelor's degree, that's 120 hours. So you do the math. Let me see. It's a little extra work. This is what my daughter did, but look into the university's ROTC program. Some universities have perks for going to ROTC. Free parking, free dorm rooms. They have meal packages, especially for ROTC students. You might get a 3-meal package for the price of a 1-meal package. And you can scale these up or down as you want to. I could have paid for a 3-meal package, which means she has 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. But they've got packages that are 1 or 2 meals a day for 5 days, which allows you to go out on the weekends or whatever. And I mean, you're going to go out on the weekends anyway, but why pay for meals that you're not going to eat? Here's another one. How about military service? You join the National Guard, the reserves, or whatever, because a lot of times they'll, if you commit 6 years of your life, they're going to pay for your education just completely, which is what my daughter did.
Or you can go the reverse route, and you can go to college and then join the military and have them pay your debt off too. That's a way to do it too as well.
I've had friends that have done that too. I don't know all the details, but dude was super smart. He was like he was like physics and shit like that, and he was recruited to be in the military. So he came in as a military officer, and one of his perks was they forgave his student loans.
Makes sense.
Can't do that with a gender studies degree, though.
Nope.
Let me see. If items 1 and 2 are accomplished, I would be willing to support a 50% student loan forgiveness of whatever their current balances are. If you owe $50,000, if you're drowning in $50,000 in debt, I'd have that. Make that $25,000. Do an application process and just have it. As long as they control the cost of what education is, and then set the interest rate to 1% during repayment, I would be more than willing to say, forgive 50% of all student debt. But the government needs to get more skin in the game too, and these financial institutions, they're getting paid more. I mean, they're loaning out, let's say, a student $100,000 to go to school, but they're gaining another $75,000 or $80,000 just on interest alone.
On interest, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is. See, I've been like looking into this as much as probably you've done the research on it, and I really think the government, my whole taxation is theft crap. Let the government get out of it. But the government getting into the whole like big universities, like they'll like donate, like it's not donate, they're giving taxpayer money to something like a Harvard, like these big for like research purposes, stuff like that. And these it's driven the price of college to an insane amount at that point. And then counseling is another thing too. Is like these kids come in trying to get their college education, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna give you like $70,000-$80,000 loan. Okay, the counselor's like, oh yeah, okay, cool, yeah, we're gonna make some money off of this, or the people loaning the money are gonna make. There's no counseling for like, hey, maybe you might need to go into STEM. Like STEM is a big thing to me. Like we really lack that in this country. But they push them into these BS, like you said, gender studies. I call it underwater basket weaving degrees, sociology, like things that don't really help progress society at that point. I mean, a kid coming in and be like, well, your SAT scores suck. Why don't you go to welding school? That's cheaper. That's what the counseling should be for at that point. Huh?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny you mentioned that. I had my experience with my student counselor was she looked at my grades and went, huh, I didn't do well on my PSAT or my SAT. And she's like, you might want to join the military. I was like,
that's what my counselor told me the same.
So I was like, okay, whatever, I know better. So I ended up, I graduated, I got a diploma. And then I went out and I applied for grants. And this is another thing that you can do through FAFSA. You can apply for grants. You can just apply for grants, and then every quarter or so you'll get an email saying, hey, these grants are available for what you need. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to work for those grants because they're going to say, write a 1-page paper on something, or tell me a little bit about yourself. Just fill out this little personal information form. And this is for like, $2,000 for, a semester to go towards whatever you want. You can go towards parking, food, dorm space, or books or whatever.
Books, yes, definitely.
So yeah, look into all of those offers for grants. Contact companies and say, hey, I'm looking. Yes. I'm a student. I'm looking to go to college and I want to be an engineer. So do you have any grants for that? Lots and lots of companies and corporations have things like that.
I mean, I think Taco Bell even, like, it's crazy to say it. They have like kind of like a work program.
Let me see. Taco Bell, Amazon.
Whataburger's another one that's real big about it. Because my sister like pretty much paid her way through college just working at Whataburger, and they gave so much grants and stuff like that. It's insane.
And even in my field, my company will give, and they'll do the same thing like tuition assistance, kind of the same as what the Army does. You register for the class, you pay for the class, you take the class, and based on whatever you pass the class, and then the company reimburses you, or at least 70 or 80% of it. Master's degree students, you're going to be paying, a lot of times the company that you work for, though. I'm going to get into this in just a second. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So choosing a college major can be tough. You may not have an idea of what type of career that you want to pursue, and you feel overwhelmed at all the available options. Your major should be something that you're actually interested in and excited to study. This has to interest you. If you're not interested in it, you're not going to complete it. I'm going to give you a couple of sets of figures. One is for the average annual salary for these positions. The other is going to be the cost of the education in order to be qualified to get this position. In no way are these the lowest or highest numbers possible. Education is a real gotcha game. Tuition is one thing, but all of the add-on fees are kind of what creeps up and kills students. Sports fees, whether you play sports or not. Childcare fees, whether or not you have children. Dorm space, student center health fees, health insurance fees, renewable energy fees. The list goes on, and all of these fees add up. Also, companies like to push for their degreed employees to pursue their master's degree or their MBA. For every one of these examples I'm about to give, a master's degree is an additional $70,000 on average for all of these positions that I'm talking about. That's a lot of money, but many times companies will all but pay for the degree through tuition reimbursement. With that in mind, here are some of the best degrees to go for right now, if college is your thing. On the top of the list, and I kind of looked at this, and this is kind of a list that is from top to bottom is going to be compensation. How much money am I getting, right? Petroleum engineering. That's a big one. In-state tuition, you can probably get a petroleum engineering degree for $45,000. Out-of-state tuition is probably $120,000 for that. Your median starting salary is $93,200 a year. Median mid-career salary is about $187,300. As a petroleum engineer major, you'll study geology, mathematics, drilling engineering, chemistry, petroleum field operations, and more. With this degree, you can get a job as a reservoir engineer, completions engineer, or a production or drilling engineer. Petroleum engineers typically develop plans for extracting oil and gas from the earth, design drilling equipment, and evaluate the production of wells. Now, let's keep another thing in mind here. The petroleum products are in everything that we use. Everything that we use has some type of petroleum product in it. Don't think that it just means gasoline. The evil fossil fuels and gasoline and shit. The gas that goes in our cars is probably far less, about the volume of petroleum extraction from the earth.
The petroleum distillation process is kind of freaking fascinating if you ever want to get into it, no?
Let me see. Did you see Robert Stamper's comment? He says a big part of the college department is like buying a firearm. Yes. Same performance and reliability, but you're spending money on a name brand. Some colleges have outrageous fund requirements for their departments just because you're buying that college name. For example, any Ivy League. Any Ivy League. I mean,
that's like the rich man goes to college, poor man goes to work kind of concept. Like Ivy League is just let all the bankers send their kids there. You can send your kids to the local college for 2 years and they'll get the same education dang near at that point.
I work with an avionics engineer, young guy, graduated from Iowa. When he was shopping for colleges, he was just like, man, I can go to UCLA, I can go to all these other big colleges, but man, it was so much more expensive. He goes, but the information is the same, so he chose Iowa because it was close to home. He got the same degree as the person that goes to Harvard or goes to Cornell or goes to anywhere else. And it cost him half as much. So industrial engineering. There's a lot of engineering degrees on here. Industrial engineering, same, $45,000 in state, out of state, $120,000. And that's just your basic. That doesn't include all the fees and stuff. Median starting salary, $84,000. That's true. Median mid, $170,000. Yeah. If you choose this major, which shares some overlap with mechanical engineering, you'll study a combination of systems theory, computer engineering, economics, and mathematics. Once you finish the program, you can get a job in multiple industries like finance, technology, and manufacturing. It's a good degree. And that's, I would put that with mechanical. I guess mechanical is more involved, more physics. You'll help, as an industrial engineer, you'll help organizations design systems for managing industrial production, among many other things.
I keep hearing STEM in this, man. Every one of these is a STEM field.
All of these, I think all of these, except for one, is STEM. This list is big, and it's a lot of, yeah. It's a lot of STEM stuff.
I preach that to people, like young kids. They're talking about going to college. Go do STEM. You'll make money.
It is a feel. I mean, to make things and do stuff is to make things, to design things is much higher paying. There's much more output reward than, and I'm not putting down any profession. It's like, well, it beats being a garbage man. Fuck, we need garbage men, dude.
Garbage men in New York City makes damn good money. That's all I got to say at that point.
I'll never put down any profession. I mean, dude, if you're doing something to make money and better yourself, then it is right for you. If you're doing something that it allows you to do what you want to do, then it's the right thing. Let's see, electrical and computer science. This is a big one. This is where I fall in. Same tuition rates, and all of these are the same tuition rates. All the tuition rates have kind of gone up at the same clip, but the compensation differs. Electrical engineering major, you'll learn how to use science, mathematics, and engineering design electronics, or to design electronics or solve electrical problems. A computer science major, on the other hand, will teach you how to develop and test software systems and solve computing problems in numerous fields like business and healthcare. That's kind of wrong. A lot of the engineers that I work with, and I work in the aviation industry, they started off as software engineers. They started out as mechanical or industrial engineers, electrical engineers, but then they also coupled it with aeronautical engineering. So now they write computer code. They have a degree in electronics, which allows them to understand how circuits work. They also have experience as far as education goes, knowing how computers work and how to write code. These guys are fucking smart, dude. They know you can't write the code for a flight control computer unless you know how the electronics inside the flight control computer work. And these people kind of like marry all of that knowledge together, and it's really amazing. Because they'll be writing the code. They're like, hey, we can't do this because if there's a diode here, or if there's a capacitor over here in this circuit, then we can't accomplish these things. That signal's never going to get to this chip that does this thing. And they know dangerous amounts of things. And it's just working around these fuckers it's humbling. It's humbling, really. And see, interaction design. I did not know what this was. Interaction design. So I'm thinking, okay, design engineering,
like CAD, like kind of stuff.
No. Who designs the phone that you use and the functionality of that phone? Who designs the mouse that you use? Or I've got a Go XLR here. There is an interaction design engineer that said this is the best layout for this device. This is how a computer should look, and this is where you should put the buttons and USB ports based on their research. That's kind of what they do. So when you study interaction design, you'll learn how to design technical products like mobile phones and virtual reality headsets with the users in mind. You'll take programming and user design courses to earn your degree. Once you graduate, you can get a variety of jobs, including, but not limited to, web developer, product designer, mobile designer, and the user experience, UX. UX is thrown out there a lot. User experience engineer. That, I think, is most of the people I know would make outstanding. You would make an outstanding user experience because you're like, use anything. Like if you have a VR headset, put that thing on and then complain about everything that you don't like about that, and then change that design to make it so you don't have to complain about anything. That's what
Apple needs to fire their entire interaction designer team because they just don't know shit.
Or you get like a user experience engineer or whatever, user design engineer that has never used it or has no intent on being a VR. We're going to put you in the VR headset, and I was like, I don't have any interest in that. I'll design it anyway. So on this list is public accountant.
See now that, yeah, I can see that. Keeping track of money can make you some money.
Keeping track of money can get well, yeah, but are you looking at the screen?
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it might take a minute for you to get it, but as a public accounting major, you'll be studying auditing, taxation, accounting systems, and different types of accounting. Armed with this knowledge, you'll understand how to prepare and analyze financial records for individuals and corporations. Median starting salary is around $60K a year. Mid-career salary is $150,000 a year. Not bad. The problem with that, for me, your job never changes. I mean, tax law changes, and that's how your job changes, and that's about it.
Gotta stay read up. Same with like network security. You just gotta stay read up all the time.
I was very happy to be able to use my taxation is theft graphic there.
I saw that. I saw it blink, and I was like,
Yay. I didn't have to do it this time. You did it for me.
Very happy to do it for you. Operations research. This is another cool one. This is pretty cool. Operations research. Oh, I don't have a graphic for any of these. So here's a series of them. Operations research, a median starting salary of $83,500, mid-career 150, solving complex problems using math. If you're good at math, or if math's your thing, this is what you need to get into. You learn how to use models, statistics, and other tools to determine how to solve an organization's problems. Once you've completed your degree, you can get a job as an operations research analyst, a mathematician, or a statistician. And this kind of goes for applied economics and management. I've got business computing, which is a lot of the same, but it's more of a computer science heavy, network security, that type of stuff. Actuarial mathematics, that means you're just a math person, and that's what you do is math.
So you're a computer.
Or yeah, you're a computer. An actuarial mathematics major, you'll study statistics, mathematics, and financial theory to evaluate the financial costs associated with certain risks. With this degree, you can get a job as an actuary with an insurance company, a government entity, or a private corporation. I know the CIA employs a lot of actuarial mathematicians. So here we are to the graphic that we have on the screen. Aeronautics and astronautics. I wrote a note here. Oh, okay. It says the median starting salary is $77,000. With my company, that's a lot higher. An engineer one comes in at I think it's 80. With a brand new graduate comes in at like 80, 84, 85. Median mid-career salary 139. It's a lot higher. It's a lot higher than that. Well, at least in the aviation field. If you work for an aviation company. With this degree program, you'll learn fundamental engineering math and physics principles used to design, test, and operate space vehicles and aircraft. Once you graduate, you can get a job as an aeronautical engineer or an astronautical engineer. Aeronautical engineers design and test aircraft that fly within Earth's atmosphere, helicopters or planes. Astronautical engineers, on the other hand, design and test spacecraft like satellites and spaceships. So yeah, I think that salary should be a little bit higher. But nowhere on this list did they talk about trades. Nobody said,
oh, really?
College is not for everybody. College is not at all for everybody. But they never mentioned what trades that they could go to. So the difference between like a trade school and a four-year college is your timeline from start to completion in college is like 4 years for a bachelor's. In trade school, it's half of that is 2 years. Your coursework is extremely specialized in a trade school, whereas the coursework in college is very general. You cover a shitloads of things. half of which you're not going to use. Your coursework in a trade school is going to be very, very, very specialized, and you're going to use most of all of it. The demand for graduates from trade school is increasing now, but is decreasing for those of college graduates. The risk of job automation for a trade person is low, but the risk of job automation for a college grad is pretty high, because you have other people that can do the work, or other things that can do the work, or all that's going to be automated. Trade school is best for someone who is looking to join the workforce in about 1 or 2 years. Going to college is best for someone who wants to explore, who doesn't know what they want, and wants to explore several different fields and focus areas, and has the time and the finances, stress on finances, to dedicate themselves to a longer program. So you can get to where you want to be in a trade school. In my company, it's hard to move up unless you've got a 4-year degree. We have a lot of trade school graduates, but they're not gonna go anywhere. They might be smart as hell, but they're not gonna go anywhere because they didn't graduate from TCU. I mean, dude, these damn trade, and by trades, I mean like welders, pipe fitters, construction, plumbing, HVAC.
Yes. You know what one pays really good, and I did not really think of it as a trade until like someone mentioned it to me, is there's actual like an elevator like trade. There's a union in some of the big cities, like you talking like skyscrapers and stuff like that. The guys that climb up in the 100-story buildings to fix the elevators.
I would climb a skyscraper to fix a light bulb.
The heights don't bother me. Just the wind gets you. The wind will get you. I climbed a few pretty big towers in my time. Like, you gonna do that again?
So there is my first hour with one fucking subject. I don't think I've done that before. That's pretty cool. Well, actually 2. Let's call it 2 because we did talk about the 4-day work week thing. But I think we owe ourselves a break. Aaron Redmond. He says, I can call in about trade school stuff if you would like. The answer to that is yes.
Yes.
The number was 415-889-8367, but we're going to take a break right now. So if you want to call in after we come back from the break, that would be awesome. The number to the show is scrolling along the bottom. I guess we're going to take a break right now because I think I've got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, me too.
What is this slide? What is that slide? Oh, trades. That's my trade slide. Got all those trades. Construction. Dude, oil workers, oilmen. Holy crap, man. Roughnecks.
Roughnecks make good money.
They make some serious cash. They can fuck up a hotel too.
Yeah.
Because they come in out of the field and they do nothing but walk into their hotel room and go to bed, and there's just mud tracks. We have a lot of them down here. They can mess up a hotel. All right, kid, everybody. We're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about some other stuff that is not related to student loans. Y'all come back in just a second. 6 minutes-ish.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
This is Randy Couture, and you're listening to WTF Nation Radio.
WTF Nation Radio.
How do you like Louisiana?
It's not bad, man. It's not bad. I was born and raised there, man.
That's awesome.
But on the trade school note, so I heard you talking about, the 2-year trade schools and stuff, which that is a good option. But what a lot of people don't know about, you were talking earlier about companies who will pay for your college if you already have some college or something like that. A lot of companies in trade will do that too. So you don't even have to go to the trade school before you get the trade. So as an example, I work as an inspector in the petrochemical field, the oil field. So I work in both petrochemical refineries, pipelines, pretty much anything to do with oil and gas I mess with. I do weld inspections, or that's what I started out doing, and then now I do some structural inspections and whatnot also.
And you did all that through a trade education, though.
Correct. Yes, sir. So when you get into the inspection field, just I'll use that as an example, you'll still start out at a decent pay rate to where you can make a living and survive. So you'll say you start out as an assistant with no education whatsoever. You have nothing. You just walked in the door, the company hired you. So you'll be getting paid typically somewhere in the inspection field from about 18 to 22 at that point. Now, you'll have your different certifications in each type of method of inspection. So, I'm not going to go through the boringness of listing all of them, but roughly there's 5, and there'll be, X-ray and whatnot. And as you get more certs, you'll gain more money per cert. Now, the certs will take training classes, which will typically be a 40-hour training class and then a written practical test and a general and a specific. And so when you do that, you pass that, you'll get your level 1, and then you have 3 levels of certification. So you go from your level 1, then next thing you know, you work a certain amount of hours to say you have enough experience, and then you do the same thing with the class and the test, and you get your level 2s. And as you get more certs, you're adding money. So pretty much what I'm trying to get is you could start out at, say, 18 to 22 an hour. The company's paying for your training along the way as you're getting your on-job experience and your classroom. And once you get, say, 5 certs per se, you could be getting paid anywhere. Like when I was 5 started level 2 technician, I was making $36 an hour. And they're paying for all that. And the only trade-off is they'll say, hey, if we pay for this class and it costs, let's say, $2,000, then you're going to sign a contract with me saying you won't leave for the next, 6 months per se, whatever, something that's
that's a fair agreement.
Correct. Obviously they're making it worth your, they're making their investment in you worth their time. Right. And you're not bound to that. I mean, if you decide to break it, the only difference is you obviously owe the company the money, but you only owe them the money remaining on whatever they, whatever. So say they said, you have to stay with us for 6 months, you stay for 5. Then if you leave, you don't owe them the full price of your class. You would owe them for whatever they say that last month would cost if they divided it by 6. Gotcha. So it works out really good that way. And then you can move further from that. So like where I'm at right now, I went through the API organization, which that's government, which your post 9/11 you were talking about earlier will actually pay for what I'm speaking towards now. So if you don't have a college degree and if you do have a high school diploma, they're going to require at least a minimum of 3 years work experience in the petrochemical field, which you would need in any ways to be, I guess you could say, apt enough to know what's going on around you to go to the API organization. But on the API organization, on the inspector side of things, you don't have to have started out as an inspector. You could have started out as a welder. You could have started as a QC foreman. There's multiple trades you could have been in. Because you know enough about the refineries and how things work, you can go to the API organization, and as long as you study for the test, you could take the API test, which then makes you a unit inspector. So now you're in charge of all the inspection personnel, the welding personnel. You're basically the guy. You're like the engineer's right-hand man, I guess you could say. I work in the aviation field, and I find that it's much better to work for someone or to do work for people that have been technicians, to work for engineers who used to be technicians. I imagine Correct. It's kind of the same in your field. It's better to be an inspector, a welding inspector, or whatever, because you used to be a welder, and you know what the inconsistencies can be, and you know why those inconsistencies happen. And that's why they offer it. Once you get to the API level of things. What is API? API? Yes, sir. API organization is the American Petroleum Institute. Gotcha. Once you get to the API level of things, and that's why they offer it to not just former quote unquote, because people like to call inspectors, what I was talking about originally, which would be your people doing the welding inspections, blah, 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 but technically they're examiners. You're not really an inspector until you're API certified. So that means that you could have came up through welding, you could have came up through whatever, but as long as you have 3 years of experience and you pass your API test, you're now a certified inspector through the government. Understood. Now, on that note, though, your post 9/11 will pay for that. they do have options on the API website. Even that they give you quick links. They make it easy on you. You click on the quick link, put in your former military service. Go through all the data they want you to fill out, and you can have that paid for at that point by your former service if you were in the service, which is really helpful. And a lot of people don't understand that trade, like you were talking about earlier, trades is becoming higher demand, and even a single cert, which there's multiple API certs. There's up to, like, I want to say 11 if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong per se, but that you can get, and each one is in like a different certain part of the field. So like your 510, which is what I just got. Your 510 will be specifically to pressure vessels, anything that holds high pressure vessel stuff in refineries, petrochemical fields, whatever. Your 570 be your piping. But the point I'm trying to make is that you get each one of these certs, and it adds more money. But even a single certed API on average is making about $52 an hour. Now, a lot of these companies are offering 40-hour guarantees. So at $52 an hour with a 40-hour guarantee, you're still making every bit of easily 100 plus a year. And then you could also do the turnaround route, where if you're working 7/12s, hitting turnarounds back to back to back, you can work 6 months out of the year before taxes clear 120 and take the other 6 months if you so felt like it to do whatever you want. It allows you to bounce your schedule a lot more than.
Holy crap, dude! I'm in the wrong field.
Oh, that petro field is where it's at, man.
Yeah,
that's where it's at.
I mean, I'm doing good, and I'm happy where I'm at. But damn, dude, that is some really, really good. And I was saying earlier, the petro field, it doesn't mean that you're just putting your fossil fuels in gas tanks and blah 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 blah. The thing is, everything's got some kind of petrochemical in it, so we need that.
There's a lot of jokes, and I'm with you on the whole. I don't look down on any job. There's a lot of jokes to go around, about the petrochemical field, the oil field workers and whatnot, blah blah. But it's on the flip side of things. It's like you laugh at somebody's wearing overalls every day, but I'm clearing more than you with a college degree on a high basis. That's the case, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying it's just the truth that a lot of people look down on trades, and depending on which trades you get in, I mean, you can make hella money with trades if you know what you're doing and you're dedicated.
Agreed.
But on the aeronautical side of things too, they have actually some aeronautical companies out there that are offering trade schools. I'm not going to say it's my forte. I wouldn't try to say that I could speak greatly on that, but my dad's been with Northrop Grumman for last 17 years per se, and a lot of stuff that he has programs over here in Lake Charles, for example, the Northrop in Lake Charles, where Sewella Technical College is right there next to Northrop, and if you want to go work for them, then you sign a contract, whatever deal you make with them, which they have different options. They will pay for your trade school for you to become say airplane mechanic, coder, whatever it is you're trying to be. So there's also those options in that industry also.
See, I never got paid back. I never had that tuition assistance from my company because like, well, whatever you're studying is not really what we don't have a job description for what you're doing. The thing is, I already had the job that I wanted, and I'm like, well, I really should get a degree. And this is, I got recruited out of the Army. I got the job that I have. I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm like, I need some college. So I went and got a degree, and then I didn't get reimbursed by my company because they're like, well, we don't really employ that type of that. Your discipline is not that.
Correct.
But I got a degree, so.
So what you're talking about is kind of what I was alluding towards earlier. Like, I'll use my brother as a scapegoat on that one. My brother went for mechanical engineering degree. I'm the black sheep of the family, so my whole family went for degrees, and then I was just the military and trade school. But my dad's a mechanical engineer, my brother's a mechanical engineer, and my dad came up kind of like you're talking about, though, back in the Gap. That's what they wanted. They wanted just college degrees. Well, my brother goes and gets a mechanical engineering degree, and he searched for a year and a half before he could even find somebody, even petrochemical-wise, to hire him because they wanted experience. It doesn't matter if you have a degree. They want experience. But it's kind of self-contradictory because how are you going to have experience if you just got the degree? Somebody has to hire you. So then you're talking about a mechanical engineer who's getting hired on a salary, and his starting salary, I want to say, was roughly $85K.
Right.
So you're starting salary at $85K when I'm doing trade school, and I'm already making not in a looking down on it kind of way, but I'm already making more than you out the gate, and I'm still coming up in pay quicker than you on the pay scale because once you get that engineering job, you got to get seniority to become the chief engineer, blah blah blah, to keep moving up, making more money. Versus in trade school, all I have to do is get more certs. Once I get more certs, I'm getting paid more because I'm more.
And the thing is,
you know,
and coming in as a degreed engineer, your company is going to say, "Hey, you really need an MBA. You need to get your master's," and that just costs so much money. So
it's all the money gimmick, man.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna go off on a rant. So I'm gonna keep what I'm saying. Like,
You're doing good, Aaron. You're doing good.
Yeah.
I follow the financial market pretty heavy, and I made some comments about it earlier. So if you look, and don't get me wrong, by no means am I disagreeing with the fact that the cost of college is outrageous, because it is. I also do agree with both of y'all that taxation is theft. I mean,
yes.
I could go on a hardcore rant about how, you know, the IRS and the Federal Reserve is not even owned by the government, but I won't.
I love this guy.
But you mentioned it, and that makes you feel good, so this is cool. I love this.
With that being said, so I don't know how hard y'all followed the financial market back in 2008, but they were doing reverse repo swaps, right?
That's when I got laid off. Yeah.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking.
Yeah.
They were doing subprime loans.
Exactly what they're doing right now with the college loans, man. It's exactly what they're doing.
They're doing with the college loans. And this whole debt forgiveness campaign that you hear that nobody can seem to make come to fruition is not because anybody cares about the fact about anybody's student debt. Believe me, they never cared about you that much. It's because the bubble they have created is about to blow up 10 times worse in 2008 because of the COVID impact on the economy, and they know it. And so they're trying to find a way to weasel their way out of it just a little bit longer so maybe they can figure something out. That's really what's going on in the end.
They're not going to figure something out. It's going to they're looking for a scapegoat for when everything just falls to shit.
Believe me, I know. We're on the same boat on that note. But I was trying to stay off the rant train.
That's fine.
God, if you get me started on the financial market, God knows I can rant. But yeah, man, it's just it kills me. It's crazy, like the way that if you watch how they really play games with our economy, kind of like you were talking about earlier. Like, I mean, people are going to college to get these degrees, and just nothing's happening with it, and it's not even their fault. It's on an economical basis of the fact that it all circles back to what y'all were talking about earlier. Taxation and stuff is really what it comes down to: money. Who's making the money and whose pockets it go in?
And you might be the best student that goes and gets a degree, let's say in engineering. And then you get out, but you're only getting a job for $60,000 a year, but your student loan payment is $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And then the interest rate,
full-blown mortgage at that point.
Yeah.
That's what kills me. Like, how's it not set? You know what I mean?
And that's my fix, man. Interest rates 1%. 1% when you're in repayment. That would
Correct.
solve a lot of problems.
Well, y'all hit the nail on the head earlier too, though, with the which, you know, like, I'm agreeing with y'all too on the whole, you know, it's a topic for another day, but with the auto industry, I mean, I've been ranting about that for so long. I mean, you buy a car. So the auto industry reminds me of his joke about Apple. So they come out with this year's car, which is the same as last year's car, probably even, you know, a little bit shittier, but it's got a different look to the headlights, but we charge you $10 more grand. Like, what am I getting? At what point do we stop? I mean, the price of a full-size diesel truck, which a lot of people in the oil field industry are going to need because you're going to have, I mean, like I said, if you're traveling intelligently, you would get a camper because you're not going to keep renting a hotel. You're going to pocket that per diem.
Do it.
So with that being said, you know, the price of a full-size truck is a full-size diesel. You're talking about anywhere from 70 to 100K.
I was going to say at least 70. At least 70. For a base model.
70. And that's a base model. Like, we're talking about, like, the same old piece of shit you probably used to rag your parents about, like, why'd you go buy this one, Dad? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just making a joke here, but you're catching my drift. For that one, you're paying $70K. I mean, you want something that has the bells and whistles, you're 100, 110 plus. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And that same damn truck used to cost, you know, $30,000 most, at the most, decked out.
Yeah,
you know, buy a truck on the used market for like $5,000. You know, like now you're forking out like $20,000 for a used truck. It's insane at that point.
And that's what I'm trying to. I mean, like it makes no sense to me. I mean, that's the second thing. Like, it's like you can't even go used anymore because the used prices are still insane. I mean, you're talking about, man, especially with this vehicle crisis that they're claiming per se. You're talking about they're turning around and taking. I've seen it personally because down south, like I said, a lot of people do work in the petrochemical field, in the oil refinery field. They know that you need a truck. They know it's a thing, and so you're talking. They'll be selling it's nothing to see a 2007 that's got 100,000 miles on it. They're asking $30,000 for it. I'm like, well, do what? I mean, nobody's paying you that. Nobody insane.
But there's a 30-day guarantee on that. It's not gonna fail in 30 days.
I'll take that and I'll wipe that out. Wipe my ass with like the W-2 form.
To start building my own trucks in my backyard if the price keeps going up.
I think 30 days is the lemon law too. So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, man. But I mean, I'm with y'all, man. I know most people, and I understand that the financial matter is a boring subject matter, but people have to get more interested in it because if we don't, I mean, you hit the nail on the head a second ago too. That we're on the fast track to economic collapse, and it's pretty grim.
Yeah, well, $30 trillion in debt. No one seems to care about it.
I really hope not. And my mindset is I'm going to do what I do every day, and it's gonna be able to pay my bills and stuff. But man, if there is an economic collapse and shit, maybe was 2008 bad? I don't think the upcoming collapse can hold a candle to the collapse that's coming. The collapse that was in 2008 can't hold a candle to what's happening or what's going to happen.
Oh, no. If you follow what's going on right now, we're 4,000% above what happened in 2008. It's going to make that look like a cake. We're going to make every stock market crash we've ever had look like a cakewalk.
But that was mostly because of real estate, wasn't it?
Per se, 2008 was, yes.
Yeah.
Look, you know what? I'll go on a short little. We're getting off subject, and I know we are, but screw it. So I'll go on a short little rant. So basically, what you have going on right now, which is actually something that you saw in the media a lot about a year ago. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to go on a conspiracy theory thing with you, so whatever. But you saw the GameStop thing, right? Which there was some fuel to the fire, which was the fact that it did pop up like you saw, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to focus specifically on GameStop. What I'm trying to get at is just like people were giving out loans that they didn't have the money for and then claiming they had made the money for already on your subprimes, your reverse swap, repo swaps, and all your bull crap that was going on in 2008.
Yeah. You
have the same thing going on right now, but you have it going on 100% scale in the whole entire stock market. So what you have going on is you have people like Citadel. I'm gonna call them Shitadels so I don't get in trouble for copyright or bullshit. But so Citadel, for example, is the main market maker for the New York Stock Exchange. So anything that goes in the market has to pass through them. So whether you use Fidelity, whether you use Robinhood, whether you use any of these people, it goes through Citadel. So whenever this happens, they're going to clear it. Well, technically, let's just make an example here. If a stock has 70 million shares for that float, then you take whatever is the actual owner of the company / the investors, the people that are not going anywhere, and the people who are not going to, like the shares are unsellable. They have to hold it because they're holding stake. So you take that and you subtract it from your actual amount of shares available in the market. So let's just say that 70 drops to 40 for ease of math purposes. Well, now at this point, for retail investors or anybody else, there's only 40 million shares to sell. So when that goes about, once those 40 million shares are sold, it should be locked up. It should be locked up. This company's sold out, and whatever their stock is, what their stock is.
But they're still trading.
But they're still trading. So they're creating naked shorts. So now you have the problem of that. Let's say the 70 million share float becomes 150 million shares. Well, now you have this company that's still only worth 70 million shares worth of money, but it's trying to divide it between 150 million shares of people, and so the price of the company's tanking. That's actually how people like Jeff Bezos and Amazon are making hella money, because they're shorting their customers, they're shorting their competition out of business. And so that's how they take over a market really quickly, because they got the money to do it. And
my mind is like,
Well, I'm understanding 100% of this. That short fucking stop shit on GameStop had me dying inside.
So the crazy part is it's still going on, even with GameStop.
Yes. It's $120 a share right now. Still, like a year, 2 years later.
Like I said, I'm not going to get on the conspiracy theories, but all I'm going to say is that I invested in December before that happened. All I'm going to say is that maybe or maybe not, I might have sold for a 20 grand profit, and I might have bought back in at $40 for $7 grand. I might be up 28,000 right now. Maybe not.
You're doing awesome.
We're going to leave that alone. But the point I'm trying to make though, is hypothetically, it's all hypotheticals we're speaking right now. But the point I'm trying to make is that, okay, let's be honest. Just like the IRS, how many times have we seen the SEC get off their ass and do something? Never. So you're telling me that short selling, including GameStop, hypothetically is irrelevant and does not happen according to them, but yet you've made 27 new laws in the last year and a half alone, which is more than you've made in the last 10 years.
And that's to keep the people that are making like hella money.
Correct.
Rich.
Corporate rich. Correct. And so then now it's getting to the point to where, which is what I was boiling it down to, which is basically you've got all these shares, which, I mean, if you really want to get into the taxation stuff, we can get into some more stuff, which is pretty much if I go to my broker and I buy a share of a stock, in technicality, that should be just like the olden days with the electronic version of where I bought this stock. That stock certificate is now in my name. So I own said stock. I have voting rights to said stock. No. But if you look into your broker, you own what's called a street share, which means you don't own shit. It's in your broker's name. You don't own nothing. You have no voting rights.
That's how Robinhood works, right? 100% at that point.
Well, that's Robinhood's on PFOF, which we can. That's another subject for another day, because God knows that it take me 30 minutes to go through that one. But what I'm trying to get is no matter who you use, Fidelity, any broker you use, it's always going to be in the street broker name. So you only have the voting rights if the broker grants it to you. So let's say somebody like Citadel walks into the broker and is like, "Hey, we can't have these terrible little fledglings over here voting." Tell them no. They can deny you because they own your voting rights. You only have a street share. In other words, you only hold the share in the broker's name. That also goes even worse to the fact of, like, say this share is about to, let's say a short squeeze is about to happen. Let's say this share is about to pop to millions of dollars. Well, then now your broker is financially in trouble. They can, at this point, sell your share due to the fact that it's a street name share and it's not really your share, and it's going to cause a collapse to them so that they just so felt like it. And that's legal. That's ridiculous. So, I mean, tell me why the DTCC, the Trading Commission, is supposedly holding all these shares, but they have to make some other corporation that just sounds so stupid you never look into it, called Seed & Co., which is where all of the actual shares are locked up in a vault. There's no certificate that ever leaves this thing. So electronic shares are always sent out, but there's no, until recently with SEC rules that have been changing in the last year and a half because of, hypothetically GameStop, they never had any type of number to even track what company sent the share out. Fraud, is that not a thing anymore? Conflict of interest. So we got FINRA, who's supposed to be regulating all these companies, but they're a publicly listed company who's invested in by the same people they're supposed to be regulating. That's going to work out great, let me tell you. In a hypothetical sense, I'll give you an example. In 2020, Citadel may or may not have accidentally. That's going to work out great, let me tell you.
Hey, new caller, turn down your phone.
2020, Citadel may or may not have accidentally. Give me a second.
Turn down your audio.
Hey, new caller, turn down your.
Turn down your audio. I can hear everything.
I don't know what's going on right now. I'm going to go back to myself.
Turn off your speakers.
Turn down your audio. I can hear everything.
It's feeding into everyone's headsets. Okay.
Oh, continue.
We're good?
Yeah.
So basically, hypothetically, in 2020, Citadel may or may not have, on 520,000 occasions, committed the accidental act, quote unquote, accidental act of incorrectly marking 520,000 short shares as long shares, which then gave them a financial gain, hypothetically, of $2.1 billion, to which they were fined $120 grand for. at that point, that's the cost of doing business. Who gives a shit? I mean, we're running our market in the ground is the point I'm trying to make, and it's all the rich people up top are getting rich, but at some point this is going to explode on you. So if you take a hypothetical situation like GameStop, for example, where hypothetically you've got 28 times the float short right now, and hypothetically retail investors have figured this out and bought 2 times the float, at this point you can't buy it back. You can't undo your problem you've created because you can't buy it back.
Or you'll have to sell so many freaking shares at whatever price to make up your losses.
Well, you have to force these people now to sell because it's something that's only supposed to have 70 million shares that now 140 million people hold. Once this price skyrockets and starts getting out of control and going haywire, you can't do nothing until you can get it back to that normal 70 million, which now means that the people who you pissed on for the last year and a half, you have to convince that the price is good enough to sell to you. How do you think that's going to work out? That at this point, it costs them nothing to laugh at you. And so, I mean, and the GameStop's not the only company that's hypothetically in this situation. So the point I'm making here is that we're gambling with our financial market on a level that's ridiculous. We're playing Russian roulette with the not even at this point. At this point, it's not even a U.S. economy. It's global.
Let me trigger you with something. Like, let me say like a word and let's see if you get triggered on it. BlackRock.
Oh my God! Oh my God! You mean the fourth arm of the U.S. government? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, I just wanted to see how you reacted to that. I just wanted to see how you reacted to that. All right.
Bro, people think one world order is politicians. No. Just look into BlackRock. Just look into it. It's scary. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, God damn.
$10 trillion market cap.
Oh man, I mean, it gets even worse than that. So, do y'all remember? I'm gonna speak on another hypothetical real quick. Do y'all remember here recently, when about a month-ish ago, when Dow Jones, S&P 500, NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, it all just took a shit. And I'm talking about it dropped like 1,000 points, like it was just taking a shit. And then all of a sudden, it just spiked back up, like it never had a problem.
It's like, hey, we've recovered. We're good.
So I'm going to explain something to you that's really scary. And this is all hypotheticals. Because I know that the NSA and the FBI at some point during this conversation will definitely start listening to me. So with that being said, hypothetically, during Ronald Reagan's time, we created this thing called the Plunge Protection Committee. Okay? Now, hypothetically, these people have the ability to use 100% allocation of the federal treasury to create any counter situation to the possibility of a stock market crash. Hypothetically, about a month ago, we were dropping about 1,000 points when all these things that I was talking about, which was obviously terrible, and would probably have been the start of that economic crash we're speaking towards. Once again, hypothetically, somebody may have bought 92 million call options saying that these markets were going to go up, and they were going to go up a lot, like ridiculously not ever going to happen in our lives a lot, and that they've set these call options for hypothetically next month. And hypothetically, the current U.S. Treasury's amount of money they have is $9.3 trillion. Once again, hypothetically, it costs it $9.2 trillion for said stuff that I'm talking about to buy call options. And if you buy a call option that mass amount, typically you would have to be mentioned as whoever the buyer you are, because obviously it's a hell of a lot of money, so they need to know who you are, because if you get on the hook for that kind of money, somebody wants the money. And yet it is listed as an unlisted buyer. And hypothetically, these people in said committee that I'm talking about when it's created would be listed as that, because they didn't want to cause a scare of why they were doing what they were doing. Now, when we get to the real hypotheticals, hypothetically, there's 4 people in charge of this. One of them's called the Board of Governors, which is 2 people who just happen to be the president of J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs.
Are you talking about Soros?
And then the other 2...
I mean, hypothetically, Soros?
Hypothetically. And then hypothetically, the other two is Jerome Powell and Senator Yellen. So hypothetically, if all these hypotheticals you're catching on here are correct, then we have the four assholes that pay the problem we're in, using our own money that we pay into taxes to basically play Russian roulette with it to pretty much just last a couple more months.
Damn.
It's rough. I'm telling you, it's rough, man. The more I dive down this rabbit hole of the financial market, it's like I ask myself why I torture myself like this.
It's all started with Jekyll Island. Like, if you want to go really far back, I think it's called Jekyll Island. I might be wrong on it. Yeah, it goes way back. Like, if you start reading into this stuff, it'll blow your mind. Like, holy crap, man!
I'm telling you. You sound like you're the same problem I have, where you like to torture yourself by going down the rabbit hole.
Oh my gosh, yeah, he does.
And,
you're right.
And with that being said, if you follow it back, most people think this goes back to 1913, which is when we had the Federal Reserve Act start happening with all that stuff, which that has a lot to do with it on our side of the pond, with the Americans. But if you actually follow this back, it really goes back to the Britain versus France back in way back when. And pretty much what happened is, hypothetically,
how did we
the
get here?
Rothschilds got smart. Huh?
How did we get here?
I've been edging them on to get.
I told you took me down the rabbit hole. I would follow, man. I can't help it. There's a reason why I said I wasn't going to rant on the
This is our self-imposed rabbit hole.
Don't follow the white rabbit, man.
Look, man. God damn. It's all his fault. That's all I got to say. I said I wasn't going to rant on the stock market, and I got pressured into this. Long story short, man, it goes back ridiculously, man. It goes to, if you go to, back like I said, if you go back to Britain versus France, hypothetically the Rothschilds funded both sides of this war because they knew whoever won, they'd still get nasty rich. And then pretty much went back to the loser and was like, hey, it's cool that y'all lost because you still owe me all this money. And they went to the winner and were like, hey, even though you won, we now still work for the loser. So now we financed your whole war, and now you owe us forever. And that's where, hypothetically, their really rich future started off. And they've been playing. And
win or lose, they still win. You might win less, but you're still gonna win.
This will be my last. I swear on my life, this will be my last rant on this rabbit hole we've going down. Way far away from trade school. This is what I called for.
And yeah, right. I mean, where's my graphic there? Where is that, number 5? Petrochemical. There you go.
Yeah. But on that note, pretty much to give you an idea of how this still goes on, and I'm not saying any other reasons. I'm not saying there's no other reasons why all this stuff happened, obviously. But with that being said, hypothetically, before the war on terror in the Middle East, the Rothschilds and the conglomerate of those banking individuals didn't own, only banks that didn't own the actual central currency of in every country was 8 Middle Eastern countries, Indonesia, and Korea. Now, hypothetically, here we are in 2022, and the only two that they don't own is in Korea and Indonesia. And hypothetically, there's somebody who's threatened us to go to war with missiles right now. So, think of it what you will.
I was going to say, Korea is kind of undecided, and it's been undecided for a long time.
Yeah. I'm not saying there's anything there, but I'm just making the point of it all leads back to money in the end, no matter what.
Brother, thank you very much for your call. I certainly appreciate it, man. And whenever I get on these, I don't even know what kind of rant. I think I was talking about education and stuff, and
we were talking about trade schools.
I was.
I have the same problem as you, man. Like when somebody pushes me in the direction of things that I'm really invested in, I can't help myself.
There you go.
It really sounds like you're very read in and you're educated into what you're talking about, because you didn't sound like a dumbass at all.
Well, I mean, that makes you feel a little bit better. Being a
No, that probably came out really wrong. I mean, a lot of folks will call in and it's like, no, this, that, and the other, and no. But they won't back it up. You're
however many viewers you've got, it's probably better that I didn't make it happen myself.
Thank you. Thanks, Aaron, for your call. I really, really appreciate it. And call back anytime,
yes,
really.
Yes, sir. It was good talking with you, man. I'll see you next time.
All right, bud. Take care.
Right.
What a great conversation, dude. That was pretty cool.
It did do like a Alice in Wonderland kick there for a second, but like.
Oh no! There was a serious rabbit hole thing going on there, and I was into it. I was really into it.
It's 100% true. So he kept saying hypothetical. I was like, man, this stuff's saying hypothetical.
But it's just like saying allegedly, the Rothschilds, blah 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 blah.
No.
But you can't be accusatory.
Well, I guess you can't.
Oh man, this is really. This makes for a bad segue. So I think we're gonna jump to the farting Tesla, maybe.
What?
The farting Tesla.
Okay.
This is crazy. There is no segue to that because we had the entire hour spill over into 2/3 or more of the second hour, which is fine, which is really, really awesome. But I can't segue off of this. We've got Pavel from the Czech Republic is chiming in the chats, and he's awesome. Talking about Russia invading the Ukraine. But everything is like the Ukraine is firing on the Russians, and this is a wag the dog thing, really?
It's more along the lines of like, where are we getting our source media from, and do you trust your source media? And that's pretty much the gist of it at this point. And I don't know what's going on. Ivan knows how to play the PsyOps game, and that's pretty much the way it goes at this point. That's all I'm getting into that. I don't even want to dig into that.
So Aaron chimed in. He says he had to say it that way so they don't come after me. Allegedly, he said. Allegedly, Aaron said that he had to say that so they don't come after him.
Just be a man.
Come after me, bro.
Come at me, bro. I say that all the time. Try me.
So, how do you segue from that into Catholic baptisms?
I heard this and I was so confused. 'Cause, I'm a religious man, but Catholicism kind of confuses the living shit out of me. But
does it confuse you or I? There's a difference in wording. So, a Catholic priest has resigned after an investigation found that he had performed invalid baptisms throughout most of his 20-year career. Okay, there was an investigation. I'm not really sure that my child was baptized correctly, so I want you to examine his text or whatever the fuck. Father Andres Arango has performed thousands of baptisms. We baptize you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. But Olmsted explains the words we baptize should have been I baptize. The issue with using we is that it's not a community that baptizes a person, but rather it is the Christ. It is him alone who presides at all of the sacraments. And so it is Christ Jesus who baptizes. So Arango resigned as pastor of the St. Gregory Parish in Phoenix, Arizona, as of February 1st. He says, "It saddens me to learn that I have performed invalid baptisms throughout my ministry as a priest by regularly using an incorrect formula. I deeply regret my error and how this has affected numerous people in the parish and elsewhere." So they nullified the baptisms.
Was it something like 25,000 baptisms?
I didn't see a total, but oh my gosh.
There's okay. I know you're going to explain it, but there's just like a spiral effect at this point. According to the religion, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's weird to say it, but you'll probably get into that a little bit better than I can.
Yeah, he just said like one wrong word, and that nullified all these baptisms, and they all have to be like redone, which is really weird. This is crazy.
There was priests that were baptized by this man who became priests, and according to
the dude's been doing this for the last 20 years, so there's like people who may have died, but they have mistakenly gone to hell because their baptism was incorrect. I was kind of wondering about that. So I learned after doing this that Father Andres had corrective training, and he had to get reordained as a priest. So he's back in service.
It's insanity.
He went through like retraining or whatever. So on to the farting Tesla. Let's talk about a Tesla farting. U.S. federal highway regulators have decided that they will no longer let speeding Teslas blast booming fart noises at people. I've got a friend of mine that has a Tesla, and he says absolutely he has a farting noise, and he has it on his turn signals. Specifically, yeah.
Okay.
It farts instead of goes click, click, click. It goes fart, fart, fart. Specifically, the recall concerns Tesla's boombox feature, which lets drivers play pre-recorded audio through the front speakers in place of the horn. First introduced back in the 2020 update, the feature reportedly allows users to pick all kinds of pre-recorded song clips, as well as an assortment of other sounds like goats bleating and farts discharging. A brief reminder that Tesla, the fart car company, attained $1 trillion valuation last year. Anyway, the problem, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration saw it as the boombox sounds could potentially drown out pedestrian warning sounds required in Tesla's electric cars. While boombox can enhance the conspicuousness of the vehicle to the pedestrians, a vehicle that uses boombox when in motion may cause the pedestrian warning system to be non-compliant with regulations. So they demanded an issuance of a recall. Because farts are bad or something, or
the fun police made us do it.
Fucking fun police, right? All right, let's talk about Navy news. We got some Navy news, and I'm blasting through this because we're almost out of time, and I don't care that we're out of time. It's just I really want to get to these stories. Naval Air Station, North Island. The North Island Naval Air Station in San Diego closed its inbound and outbound gates on Tuesday of this week after a driver tried to enter with, quote, bomb-making materials. The gates remain closed as of Tuesday afternoon while the station, which is part of Naval Air Base Coronado, does the investigation. The driver, who is in custody at the Naval Criminal Investigation Services, tried to enter the station in the morning. The vehicle was searched and the illicit materials were discovered. The base told people on social media to stay away from the main gate on North Island and said that the air station, commissary exchange, and visitor center were closed until further notice. No other information from whomever this person was is available. But they just closed down the Naval Air Station. So we had Valentine's Day happen, like on Valentine's Day. Did you get any special Valentines or whatever?
Maybe.
Okay. You didn't get catfished. You weren't like sending money, like send me Dara and I'll be your lover.
No, someone tried to. I got a weird text scam the other day, and I was like, "What the heck is going on?" And I saw unsolicited photos. I was like, "Oh, now I know what it feels like." But I digress from that.
I've been getting some really strange texts only because I've been overseas, so my number is out there. So people say, "No, we're not going to share your stuff. It's all internal. We're just, we just need that for our purposes or whatever." But I get texts all the time, and it'll fade away in probably a week or two. But ahead of the Valentine's Day holiday, the FBI issued a statement saying that alongside other forms of cybercrime, gotta cut this out there. Romance scams have been on the rise since the onset of COVID-19. And have cost Americans more than $1 billion just in 2021. Perpetrators mainly target women over 40 who are widowed, divorced, elderly, or disabled. The victim just wants connection and companionship. The bad guy generally just wants cash. But they're genderizing all this stuff. It's like there's scammers out there. It doesn't matter what sex you are.
Oh, it's a two-way street at that point. Oh,
definitely. Romance scams occur when criminal adopts a fake online identity to gain a victim's affection and trust, and then uses the illusion of a romantic encounter or a close relationship to manipulate and steal from the victim. Like right there, I really love you. I love you. Send me some money. Or she says, "Hi, sexy. Buy me some credit card, some online credit, and I'm yours." Dude, just don't do it. She's not really that into you.
I only date women that have more money than me.
I like to date women that have flesh in front of me. I don't do the virtual date thing. I'd rather meet somebody and then spend money on them rather than be at a... I mean, you're going to lose the money anyway, but I'd rather have the flesh-to-flesh thing, the interpersonal contact. As more and more both business activities and social interaction moved online thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic, cybercrime has spiked exponentially. Very often, those in the weakest access to digital education, and this is a thing that someone came up with, people that have the weakest access to digital education become victim to cybercrime, phishing attacks, and social engineering. Like romance scams remain two of the most common crimes on the web, with elderly and the non-tech savvy population unexpectedly thrust into remote work. That type of crime has become the most lucrative. The scammers, on the other hand, use the pandemic-related restrictions on movement as a excuse not to meet up with victims. They'll ask you for money and want to meet up, and then they'll all of a sudden say, "Oh, because of the pandemic, I don't want to meet up."
Well, the coof.
The coof. Oh, man. Speaking of the coof, let's talk about our neighbor to the north, Mr. Canada.
There we go.
Canada. Oh, Canada. I don't even have a South Park Oh, Canada thing for this. That would be awesome. So responding to the Freedom Convoy to protest the coof spray mandates and other restrictions related to the coof that have snarled the streets of Ottawa, damn, Justin Trudeau has invoked the Emergencies Act for the first time, for the only time that the law has been, the law's been on the books since 1988, and Trudeau says, yeah, we're going to invoke this.
You mean Castro Jr., right?
Okay. Is he okay, there's this rumor out there that he's Castro's kid. I'm like, whatever.
I've heard crazier shit.
So Trudeau says, quote, "This is about keeping Canadians safe, protecting people's jobs, and restoring faith in our institutions," said the Prime Minister. Through the Emergencies Act allows for the military to be called in, but Trudeau says for now he has no plans to do so. Trust me, he wants to. I'm not going to talk shit about Trudeau. The government instead appeared to take that fucking limp dick bitch. Dude, look at her. Look at her.
I will. All the way up in Canada, what are you going to do about it?
So here's okay. I just came back from Canada, so I couldn't say shit. But this was happening. This trucker convoy thing. It wasn't a trucker convoy thing. When I was up there, they said, okay, now if you're going to pass across the border or be accepted into Canada from the United States, you need to have proof of vaccination. And that's when all this shit popped off. And then I came back home and everything was cool. But apparently shit ain't cool in fucking Canada, even though it's fucking -20 up there, motherfuckers. So dude, it's so fucking cold up there. It hurt my face. You walk outside to go to your car, to go back to the hotel, and your face hurts when you get in the car. Not to mention that you got to scrape all that crap off your fucking window.
It's like before a reverse desert, man.
Before you get into your car to go back home. Dude, man. Ugh. This is really interesting because Trudeau said that this was a fringe movement. All this convoy bullshit was a fringe movement, and now he's invoking some law that was written in 1988, and now he's like, "Meh, I'm gonna take your fucking money."
Oh,
Banks now can immediately freeze or suspend bank accounts without a court order and without fear of civil liability. They can take your cash just because they say that you're involved in giving money to the trucker convoy, the Freedom Convoy, whatever they call that, the Freedom Convoy?
It's the Freedom Convoy, yeah. That's how you cause a bank run, by the way. Just saying, on an economic level. That's how people start pulling
take
all
their cash out of the banks.
Like, screw you, we're taking all our money out. I'm just saying that, but not for my Canadian people. Don't do that.
In addition, the government is broadening the scope of Canada's anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing rules to now cover crowd-funded platforms and the payment service providers that they use. The change covers all forms of transactions, including digital assets such as crypto. How can they get their tentacles into a crypto market if it's out of?
I know how. A lot of these Coinbase. I use Coinbase. A lot of these big corporate wallets. Governments are involved with. If you really want to keep your shit legit, and hold your own wallet at that point.
So you're talking about wallet to wallet transfers as opposed to
investment, like Coinbase, that's investment. But I've got wallets floating around. I still got a wallet floating around. I think I've told you this before. I think I got 16 or.
Is this your Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
I don't want you.
Dude,
Quit kicking yourself in the ass about that.
Ooh, I'm so mad about this.
So there's Tallycoin. There was a Tallycoin Bitcoin fundraiser that had raised more than 20 Bitcoin, or about $1 million for the truckers. The organizers have shut down the fundraising page, but they're asking everybody else to, quote, stay tuned for their next steps.
It's insane. I thought Canada was the chill state, the chill country. And over the last 20 some days, it's got insane.
It's really chill until the government gets involved. Canada's like the most chill ass country until the government gets involved. They've got these things
like America.
Yeah. This is nuts, man. Those who refuse to learn history are doomed to repeat it. Yeah. This is kind of what's going on.
You started talking this, and I wrote this quote down earlier that I saw. I'm not trying to derail you or anything, but it's about the Bitcoins and everything and the financial shit, right?
Okay, let's talk about that.
I saw it earlier. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna leave it out there. It's like a logical kind of fallacy kind of thing, but they released the names of the donators.
They doxed
truckers.
Everybody. Yeah.
Yes. And so they released the names, but we still don't have the names of the Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein book. The fuck is up with that?
Everybody everybody needs to know who the names are in Ghislaine Maxwell's book.
Ghislaine, I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Ghislaine.
But these are known pedophiles linked to some of the most elite people on the planet. But a bunch of people were peacefully protesting and donating to peaceful protesters. Get their names doxed like almost instantly at that point. Just think about that, and just think about it for an iota of a second, and you'll know where the status of the world is at this point.
Oh, I'm typing. I can't talk and type.
Oh, I could do it. Hey.
Hi.
Hi. But no, this world has gone batshit crazy. Like, Canada used to be like considered like the coolest, most chill. Like, even Americans were like, okay, well, like even Canadians would like come down to America, but like everything in America is trying to kill me.
I had to type. Musal Aswani says he was talking about oh my gosh, Epstein didn't kill himself. Rabbit hole gets deeper. Where'd it go? Trudeau McChicken is here in the chat.
Dear Lord.
But I had to say South Park and The Simpsons have a knack for predicting history.
Our art imitates life.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, it does. But no, I've been watching these live feeds on TikTok when they're up, and it's just insanity. Like, just seeing what's going on up there. Like, they're supposed to be like part of the free world, the free world at this point, and it don't seem so much like it at this point.
I think that eventually, I mean, when Justin Trudeau starts calling another cabinet member, a Jewish cabinet member, standing with the Nazis. You're standing with the Nazis for this.
I saw that, and it was like the whole parliament just lost their minds. Like, whoa.
Well, Canada has controlled speech laws, and that's why, oh my gosh, Justin Peterson resigned from his university position because he's just like, fuck this, I'm out. I'm sorry, he said, fuck this, I'm out. He said, I'm out. I'm out
in a boot. No, did they really have like some sort of like controlled speech and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. You can say things, but not other things because that might be offensive. Jordan Peterson. Did I say Justin? Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson. That man speaks some.
Is he like the smartest?
No,
he's not the smartest guy, but he knows what he knows, and he can explain what he knows.
I would say like a modern day philosopher at this point. Like, you could maybe
I like Jordan a lot.
Maybe 1,000 years down the road, they'll like quote him in a philosophy book somewhere. Maybe
they should. They have to.
But no, that's just like Canada's getting spicy. I was like reading the chat earlier. Apparently, they like trampled a woman to death with their horses up there trying to break the
The Mounties?
Yeah, I was that was actually in our like ops.
I saw that. I didn't read it because we're doing a show.
Yeah, I was like kind of like reading into it because I've been following this because this is our neighbor here, and these are people like us. You know, like I love the Canadians. You know, but seeing some of the comments rolling around, like some of the like live feeds and stuff like that, they are probably just as divided as we are at this point.
The only thing I don't like about Canadians is when you order food from a restaurant, it fucking comes with fucking some kind of goddamn French fries or gravy. Everything. It just, hey, you want an omelet? Hey, here, have some French fries. What the fuck? No, I don't want French fries.
Or when you order bacon,
it comes as ham. It's called ham. Fewer letters than the word bacon, and it means ham. Damn it.
Maple syrup.
So many. Okay, they have some delicious maple syrup. Their maple syrup is awesome.
I love maple syrup. I love maple syrup. I won't argue that. And screw that. Like it's not even called Aunt Jemima anymore. What do they call it now?
You can't call it Aunt Jemima, can you? I know her.
Did I just violate Facebook terms of service by saying it?
Oh, God damn it! Okay, we're
way over time at this point.
Let's talk about nakedness, and being naked and fighting, naked fighting.
Would you fight a man that stripped down naked and came at you?
No, probably not.
Nah.
But I'm going to talk about Disney. And everyone knows this is our Florida man story, and Florida, of course, based on the graphic, is Florida is America's mullet. Two sisters got fantastically drunk at Disney World and got into a fight, but not without first taking off their clothes. A 29-year-old and 31-year-old woman had been visiting their family on vacation in Orlando, Florida, when they decided to drop by Disney Springs. The pair managed to get incredibly smashed somewhere between dinner at a steakhouse and then grabbing a few drinks at an Irish restaurant, and then things coming to a head as they attempted to get into an Uber to get back to their hotel because driving drunk is stupid. You just don't do that, so you call an Uber. But they were so drunk that the Uber driver said, nah, I'm done. So they were so drunk that the Uber driver decided not to pick them up. According to the police report, the whole thing went something like this. The older sister accused the younger sister of being a bad mom. The older sister punctuated this statement with a slap. And then the younger sister threatened a physical response in return. And then everything ended up when security had to pull them off of each other, and they got into an all-out brawl without their clothes. Why they stripped or when they stripped was not clear. Oh, and the younger sister threw up at some point, causing the older one to slip and fall into a bush after she stepped in it. This is gross.
Oh, dear Lord.
So the two are arrested for battery and domestic violence, but the charges were dropped and they were let go. So, okay.
This is like a really bad day at a Fort Hood strip club. I'm just saying.
As I read that story, I was like, I'm becoming like more and more disinterested in it. I'm like, okay, they're naked and drunk and bare. And then someone barfed and someone else slipped in it. And it sounds like
two hippopotamus during a mating ritual. That's like especially when you said Florida people. I'm just like, skin slapping.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas movie?
Oh, the Hangover movie.
The Hangover. It's like the Hangover or the Hangover Orlando.
Trademark. I had a trademark on that already.
Oh my gosh, it's kind of late, man. I'm gonna get tired here. I am.
Oh yeah, I didn't even look at the time until just like a couple seconds ago.
What a great show. Hey, everybody, tune in next Tuesday. We got on the Pop Culture Warrior, we've got Tito Ortiz, and then we're going to be here next Friday with,
my ugly ass.
with your ugly ass, and then Mark Levin's going to be our guest, author. So we're going to be having a good time. So y'all take care. And this is the end of the show. And thank you for hanging out, man. We didn't get to all your questions and topics, and it was great to talk to Aaron. So y'all be good, man. You got any parting thoughts?
Yeah, like I always say, don't drink and drive. Simple as that.
And it's usually like, don't kick your wife and don't beat your dog.
Don't drink and drive. Don't do it.
You've kind of lowered the bar, like, just don't drink and drive. Dude, I'm telling you, an Uber is a whole lot less expensive than a DUI charge. So do that. We have so many resources out there for you to not drink and drive. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. So anyway, we're out. My name is Koz, and that is Pooky. We're out.
This is WTF Nation Radio.
My friend came to the door. She said, well, I was on the phone cooking me and my baby some breakfast. And she said, hey, something wrong. It's popping. I said, what? She said, yeah. I said, no. So the girl come downstairs. She come out her apartment with her baby with no shoes on. I said, oh, girl, it's cold outside. She said, something ain't right. I said, oh, man. She said, oh, man, the building is on fire. I said, no, what? I got my 3 kids and we bounced out. We ain't gonna be in no fire, not today.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.